I woke up in a side alleyway with a splitting headache, my body aching. As I opened my eyes, the bright sunlight blinded me momentarily, and my vision was blurred. I tried to move, but my body felt heavy like it had been beaten to a pulp. My head throbbed with pain, and I winced as I tried to sit up. Looking around, I realized I was lying in a dirty side alleyway, surrounded by trash and debris. I tried remembering how I got there, but my mind was blank. I couldn't recall anything, just fragments of new memories that made no sense. Suddenly, a flash of memory hit me, the title of Pill Sovereign. I didn't understand what it meant or how it related to me, but it was the only thing that stood out. I closed my eyes, trying to make sense of the jumbled memories flooding my mind. It was like trying to piece together a puzzle with missing pieces. I felt confused about the new memories, but they felt familiar, like they were a part of me. Despite the confusion and pain, I knew I had to keep going. I stumbled to my feet, my body still weak and sore, but my determination to uncover the truth was more substantial than any physical pain. As I walked out of the alleyway, I looked around to get my bearings. Then, I took a deep breath and began to walk, determined to uncover the mystery and discover the truth about the title of Pill Sovereign, and how it related to me. As I stumbled home, I thought about my mother, who was always worried about me getting beaten up. She was the only one who cared for and believed in me. She was a kind, loving woman who worked tirelessly to provide for us. I knew how hard it was for her to afford the expensive alchemists to treat my injuries. Our earnings were already meager. They dwindled more every time I came home beaten. But she never complained, never asked for anything in return. All she wanted was for me to be safe and happy. I stumbled into his home, my body battered and bruised from the fight. Blood dripped from my nose and mouth, and my breathing was labored. Then, worried, I staggered towards my mother, who was waiting for me. "Zhang Wei, what happened? Who did this to you?" she cried out as she took him into her arms. I smiled weakly, feeling safe and loved in my mother's embrace. I knew I had pushed myself too far, but I had no regrets. I fought back, "Mother. I didn't let them bully me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Mrs. Wei's eyes filled with tears as she saw the extent of her son's injuries. "Oh, my dear son. What have you done to yourself? Let's get you to a doctor." I nodded, feeling the pain in my body intensified. I could barely stand, and I knew I needed medical attention. My mother called for an alchemist, who arrived promptly and examined me. "He has a severe head injury and is in acute shock," said the alchemist, his voice grave. "He's lucky to have woken up at all. He might lose some of his memories and suffer other repercussions." My mother's face paled as she listened to the diagnosis. But unfortunately, she knew we couldn't afford the expensive treatments I needed. "What can we do, doctor?" she asked, her voice shaking. "We'll have to do what we can. I'll prescribe some medication, but Zhang needs rest and care. Keep him hydrated and monitor his condition closely," said the alchemist. I lay on my bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. I felt the pain in my body, especially at the back of my head, which was swollen and aching. I knew I had taken a considerable risk but didn't regret it. I had stood up for myself and fought back. That was all that mattered. My mother sat beside me, holding my hand and praying for my recovery. I smiled weakly, feeling her love and care surrounding me. I knew I was lucky to have such a loving and kind mother, and I vowed to make her proud. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I pondered my confusing memories. My head throbbed with pain, and my body ached all over. I remembered very little about my previous life as a Pill Sovereign. I wondered if I was really the Pill Sovereign's reincarnation or if it was just a delusion. Who am I really? I muttered to myself, my head throbbing with pain. Am I the powerful Pill Sovereign or just a weak, pathetic trash everyone bullies and humiliates? I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts. It doesn't matter now. What's important is that I'm still alive. I need to focus on my recovery and regain my strength. My mother, Mrs. Wei, came into the room carrying a bowl of hot soup. "Zhang Wei, how are you feeling?" she asked, her voice full of concern. I managed a weak smile. "I'm feeling better, Mother. The pain has subsided a little." Mrs. Wei nodded, relieved. "That's good to hear. The alchemist said you need to rest and drink plenty of fluids. Here, have some soup." I took the bowl from her and sipped the hot soup. It warmed my stomach and eased my headache. I closed my eyes and savored the comforting taste. "Mother, can you stay with me for a while?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Mrs. Wei nodded and sat down beside me. She held my hand and stroked my hair, trying to soothe me. I felt a surge of gratitude toward my mother. She was always there for me, no matter what. She had to work hard daily to support us, yet she never complained or gave up. I knew I had to repay her kindness and make her proud. "Mother, I promise you that I'll become stronger and protect you from now on," I said, determination shining in my eyes. Mrs. Wei smiled at me, tears in her eyes. "I know you will, my dear. I believe in you." I closed my eyes, feeling a sense of peace and contentment. I knew I had a long journey ahead of me, but I was ready to face it with courage and resilience.